Hey guys, welcome to this awesome video. In this video, we will be reacting to another video. I am Mr. Stray. And don't forget to go buy my merch on mrstrayshop.etsy.com. Go do it. It's amazing merch. But the video we will be reacting to is people with the largest body parts in the world.
There's no such thing as a perfect human. We're all flawed, but nature and genetics have a way of messing with us, like giving us extraordinary body parts, some too large to handle and others too long to control. What is it like to be so unique? Let's get into the lives of 15 of the most unusual people with the longest body parts. Number 1. Longest legs on a female. Macy would have been any other teenager in Texas, and we probably would have never heard about her, but for her exceptionally long legs. The 19-year-old has the longest legs on a female, measuring 135.267 centimeters for the left leg and 134.3 for the right leg as of the year 2020. So, who is Macy then? Well, Macy is an aspiring supermodel from Austin, Texas. She's 208.28 centimeters tall, meaning that she's not the tallest person in the world, but her legs are really long. As a baby, she measured 48.26 centimeters in height, and when she turned 18 months old, she was 63.49 centimeters, and by her 9th birthday, she was already 170 centimeters tall. But Macy didn't always know that her legs were extraordinary. That was until 2018 when she went shopping for leggings. She couldn't fit into any of the leggings that she tried on, so the shop attendant asked her if she wanted some custom ones made. Can you imagine not being able to fit into something as easy as leggings? It's unbelievable. After the incident, Macy began researching how to make it into the Guinness Book of World Records to gain the title of having long legs. Her dreams would come true in October of 2020 when the 2021 edition of the Guinness World Record would be published. Macy was recorded as having the world's longest legs for a female and longest legs on a teenager. She smashed the record that was formerly held by Ekaterina Lysina of Russia, who had the longest legs at 132.8 centimeters. Macy is the tallest member of her family. Her mother, father, and brother are all 5'7", 6'5", and 6'3" tall, respectively. So what a gene it is for her to have. Number 2, the longest fingernails. Now, Cardi B may be famous for doing some of the most bizarre nails, but that's nothing compared to what Diana Armstrong has been grooming for 25 years. She's the current record holder for the longest pair of nails on a female. Diana's colorful nails measure 1,306.58 centimeters, and it gets even crazier when you find out why she's kept them so long. The Guinness record holder stopped cutting her nails in 1997, following her daughter's untimely death. On the day that happened, she was out shopping when a call came in from her youngest daughter that her sister had not woken up. Unfortunately, the 16-year-old daughter passed away in her sleep from an asthma attack. Diana got her nails manicured by Letitia, the deceased, just a day before the tragic incident, and with Letitia gone, the mother simply could not cut the freshly done nails and stopped trimming them altogether. So what's it like to have such long nails? Well, first, you can't take that to the nail salon to get them manicured. Filing and polishing each nail can take her family members up to 5 to 10 hours and about 15 to 20 bottles of polish in order to keep them as strong as possible. Secondly, she obviously cannot do stuff that regular people could do. For example, she finds it difficult to zip up her jeans or jacket, so she avoids clothing with zippers. She has also given up on driving, and none of these is enough to make her get rid of her nails. In fact, Diana said that she couldn't even be paid to get her nails trimmed any shorter. Number 3, the longest nose on a living person. The longest nose on a living person measures 8.80 centimeters and belongs to Mehmet Özerek from Advan, Turkey. His nose was first measured on January the 31st of 2001 for the Guinness World Records in his hometown, and it was then 8.8 centimeters long from the bridge to the tip. Interestingly, his nose has not grown since, which would mean that the nose and ears don't grow forever as everyone thought. He was born in Artvin, Turkey on October the 17th of 1949, and when he was younger, his friends would tease him about his nose, so he probably felt bad about it. As he would age, though, he soon realized that it was actually a gift from God, and he's happy with his nose and has no plans to modify it. He also claims that his long nose gives him a superior sense of smell and can inflate a balloon using his nose.
Stupid.
Large noses run in his family, but the reason behind their distinctive feature is still unknown. According to him, it could be a genetic condition, and he also adds that doctors have no explanation, but his father did have a long nose and so did his uncles. The era of long noses did end with him. Younger family members who were born after him have perfectly normal noses. The longest nose ever would belong to Thomas Wetters, which allegedly measured 19 centimeters. Thomas lived in England during the 1770s, and historical accounts would state that he was a member of a traveling circus where he used his exceptionally long nose to entertain people and make money. Talk about a blessing in disguise. Number 4, the world's longest tongue on a male. What would you do if your tongue was a little longer than it is now? I bet that licking your favorite ice cream would be stress-free. We'll get to the facts from the man with the longest tongue in the world, Nick Stoberl, from Salinas, California. Nick's tongue measures 10.1 centimeters from its tip to the middle of the closed top lip, as verified in 2012. The guy can stick 5 ring donuts on his tongue, and that's pretty crazy. But wait, there's more. Nick can also paint with his tongue. He wraps his tongue in cling wrap and dips it into acrylic paint and does the magic on the canvas. And then voila, another artistic masterpiece is ready thanks to his tongue. And here's a fun fact. Nick's dad was a big fan of the rock band Kiss, whose bass player, Gene Simmons, liked to stick his long tongue out. Nick liked Gene Simmons' pose and would practice it when he was home. Soon enough, Nick would realize that his tongue was longer than that of an average human and longer than Simmons himself, which was only 10 centimeters. He loved what he could do with his tongue, so in 2016, he auditioned for America's Got Talent. And if you've watched America's Got Talent, you know that many talented people show up on that stage, so Nick had very little chance, except that he could do something very exceptional. Nick dipped his over 10-centimeter long tongue into acrylic paint, and within seconds had painted something that looked like a rose flower. And no, Simmons and the other judges were actually uncomfortable. So trust me, you don't want to watch another human being dip their tongue into paint because it's not really cute. Number 5. World's longest tongue on a female. Chanel Tapper's tongue measures 9.75 centimeters from the tip to the middle of the lip, which according to the Guinness Book of Records is twice the tongue of an average human being. Chanel Tapper from California has held the record since September of 2010, and maybe it's just that no one has beaten the record or that Guinness just simply hasn't found someone yet. She would first notice that her tongue was not average at the age of 8. She was taking photos during Halloween and stuck her tongue out, and when one of the hard copies came out, she noticed that her tongue was unusually long in the photos. By the time that she had gotten to middle school, she did not need a picture to remind her she had an unusual tongue, as her friends would certainly tell her. Chanel was fond of sticking her tongue out at people, and each time she did, they would be shocked. Some would even ask her to do it again. They'd ask her to touch her eyeball with her tongue and do all kinds of crazy things, which doesn't come as a surprise. Chanel would claim that her mother's tongue was long, but not like hers, and believes that she was born without something underneath that prevents her from extending it. Unlike Nick, Chanel doesn't paint or do anything cool with her tongue. She simply says that she's conscious of it and has to remind herself not to stick her tongue out sometimes. But don't worry, she's not thinking of cutting it off. She's very okay with the length of her tongue and doesn't consider it to be unusual. Number 6, the longest locks on a woman. Most black women can barely groom their locks to a reasonable length, but here's a woman with unusually long natural locks. Asha Mandela is 60 years old from Florida and Guinness World Record holder for the longest dreadlocks in the world. Her hair measures an impressive 596 centimeters, but she says that they're actually longer. She began growing her hair over 40 years ago after moving from Trinidad and Tobago to New York City. Asha's goal was not to hold a world record. Instead, it was part of a spiritual desire to transform her life. She said that she had no idea about dreadlocks or Rastafari before growing them until she began having dreams where a giant cobra would appear and speak to her, letting her know that she was the chosen one. Asha also doesn't like the term dreadlocks because there's nothing dreadful about her locks. She sees her hair as a royal crown or cobra and treats it like one. First, she carries her hair in a cloth sling so that it doesn't drag on the ground. And interestingly, her locks weigh 19 kilograms, more than 3 times the weight of a real cobra. As for hygiene, her husband does help her to wash her hair on a weekly basis and allegedly uses 6 bottles of shampoo for a thorough cleanse. Her husband, Emmanuel, a skilled lock stylist from Kenya, is undoubtedly Asha's #1 fan. After they met, he became her personal stylist and began dedicating his time to grooming her hair. Number 7. The longest arm span. Mohammed Shahada's arms span up to 250.3 centimeters, the longest for a living person, and perfectly complements his 213.8 centimeter height. But he's not the only special one in his family. His sister Huda also holds different Guinness World Records. She would set 3 records of her own: the largest feet and hands on a female at 33.1 centimeters for her right foot and 24.3 for her left hand. The widest arm span on a living female. When Mohammed and his twin were only 12, they had benign tumors on their pituitary glands, which disrupted the growth pattern. From that point on, the two were growing nonstop, and they had to go to their local tailor on a yearly basis to have their garments resized in order to allow extra room for their growth. Their growth is abnormal and is caused by a rare illness called gigantism. Only roughly about 100 cases of the disease have been recorded worldwide. The disorder is caused by pituitary gland tumors, which result in the continual secretion of growth hormones throughout a person's life, even after they've reached maturity. It develops in prepubescent patients and comes with a broad list of structural abnormalities, like impaired movement and imbalance. Number 8. The longest eyeball pop. Sidney Mesquita is a Brazilian man who holds the record for the farthest eyeball pop, which measures as far as 18.2 millimeters beyond his eye sockets. It is scary and terrifying in a way, so it's a good thing that he does it at will. As a child, Sidney enjoyed making silly faces in front of the mirror, so in one of those moments, he would come to realize that his eyeballs could actually protrude much farther than his peers. He showed his family and friends, who were blown away by his...
Remember, Dad, we've got...
And at first, his parents feared that their son was sick because it didn't seem like a normal thing for a boy to pop his eyes out like that. However, it was not sickness, just an incredible feat. The medical word for when an eyeball protrudes or pops out of the eye socket is globe luxation. Sidney said that after popping out his eyes, he loses his vision for a few moments before his eyes then refocus. He can open his eyes for 20 to 30 seconds. Sidney has never met anyone else who can actually pull this off, and he takes great care of his eyes by lubricating them with eye drops, especially when he attends events. He says that when he performs the stunts that it doesn't hurt, but he does feel burning when the oxygen begins to dry up his eyes. As a result, he can't keep them open for too long, but fortunately, Sidney's skill has no negative impact on his life. He loves what he does, sees it as a gift, and claims that it's changed his life both personally and professionally. The Guinness record holder is famous not only in Brazil but worldwide. Measuring the pop is a detailed science. An optometrist uses an optometer to measure the pop, and the average 3 measurements becomes the result. So, if you want to beat Sidney's record, you're going to need to find an optometrist, but just try not to cry. Number 9. The longest earlobes. How wide does an earlobe have to be for a human hand to pass through it? Meet the Hawaiian man, Monty Pierce, whose earlobes stretch up to 12.7 centimeters. When not stretched out, his earlobes measure about 2.54 centimeters, but he does hold the world record for the longest ear slingshot. Monty works as a tattoo and body modification artist, so the earlobes are just one of his masterpieces. He has a bunch of other body modifications like silicone horns, stretched out nostrils, tattooed brows, and studs all over his face, but he isn't the first person to do anything like this. Stretches actually date back to ancient Egyptian pharaoh King Tutankhamun, but they were initially embraced by subcultures like punk rockers and others of Western cultures. These days, you can find them on celebrities like McBusted's Dougie Pointer and rapper Lil Wayne, and all over the streets of any town or city. Large flesh tunnels, however, are still connected with the counterculture. Number 10. The longest beard. Ba Sarwan Singh, head priest of Surrey's Guru Nanak Sikh temple, has an unusual 2.495 meter long beard. Singh was in Rome during the shooting of the Show of Records, a program that features Guinness record holders, when someone in the crowd pulled out a tape and measured his beard. His beard measured to 2.459 meters in length, and it was then that he set a world record just like that. Initially, he actually didn't want the record, insisting that his beard was a gift from God and not actually any kind of talent, not like anyone said that they weren't a gift. Somehow, he changed his mind and saw it as an opportunity to publicize his religion, of which he is a priest. The Sikh faith is against cutting facial hair, so Singh had never shaved in his entire life, and since he wasn't grooming them for a particular goal, he never measured it. He keeps the facial hair rolled up and over his shoulder, but if he wears it down the front, its whiskers will brush against the floor. In his religion, whatever God gives should not be cut, but taken care of. He doesn't cut his hair and a bunch of other things that his faith forbids. And before Singh, there was a man who was famous for having a long beard. The previous record for the longest beard was held by Shamsur Singh of Punjab, India, with a length of 183 centimeters. Since keeping beards is a ritual for Sikhs, one of Singh's brothers could actually beat his record in only a few years. Number 11, the longest neck. There's a tribe in Thailand that trains their necks to be longer than the regular human neck, up to 19.7 centimeters in fact. These women bind their necks with heavy brass rings that change the natural shape of their necks and their shoulders. Studies would reveal that the rings have extended the distance from the suprasternal notch to the lower jaw by as much as 19.7 centimeters, as though they are competing with giraffes. The weight of the coil strains the shoulder musculature and bends the collarbone and ribs, crushing the lower jaw over time. This gives the appearance that the neck has been stretched, even though X-ray scans have actually revealed that the vertebrae that make up the cervical spine remain intact. Young girls of the tribe begin wearing these rings at the age of 5, and by the time they're 35, they can wear up to 32 of them. Why they wear the rings is not exactly known, but there are speculations that it's for beauty, much like making their necks looking slimmer. Others believe that the coils look like a dragon, a significant character in Kayan legend. Whatever makes them wear the rings, it better be worth it because they're risking so much to do it. Number 12, the longest feet. Now, I've seen a lot of shoes in stores, and one thing that usually stands out to me is that they're mostly for small feet. So imagine having a foot that measures over 12 inches long. Meet Tanya Herbert from Houston, the woman with the largest foot in the world. The 39-year-old woman has shared her struggles with having such large feet. First of all, she barely gets good shoes. It's hard enough to find good ones if you're a size 12 or 13, but Tanya is a size 18. Aside from that, Tanya has been getting creepy messages from social media concerning her feet. People have offered her money for pictures of her feet, all for fetish purposes. Tanya is 205.74 centimeters tall, only 3 inches shorter than the tallest woman in the world. Tanya had always been taller and had larger feet than her contemporaries, and by high school, her feet had actually grown to their current record-breaking.
So Buck and I are about to have our second baby.
Grown to their current record-breaking size. The 39-year-old has been wearing men's shoes for most of her life, but sometimes she does buy some of the largest shoes that she can find and then manipulates them to fit her feet. Number 13, longest ear hair. Keeping facial hair may be a thing for some guys. Ladies do love bearded men, but you know what they don't like? That's ear hair. India's Anthony Victor has the strangest ear hair ever, measuring 18.1 centimeters. Wow. When the Guinness World Record provided details on Victor on Instagram, the internet then went crazy, with one user commenting that he had never shaved anything on his body, but would certainly shave that. Someone else would even go on to say that it was not actually a record. Most people do find ear hair disgusting. Some say that it's unnecessary to even grow it. But as funny as it may sound, ear hair is actually good. These bushy outreaches, just like nose hair, are the first defense against debris that might harm your ears. While lengthy ear hair is actually rare, it's been related to greater testosterone levels in people. People usually try to eliminate ear hair by shaving or waxing it, but not for Anthony. If he did, he would not be in the Guinness Book of World Records or in this video. Number 14. Longest finger on a female. The world's tallest woman, Ramaisa Gelgi, has some of the most unusually long body parts, and we will take a look at all of them. First, we'll begin with her finger. It measures 11.2 centimeters. The Turkish woman's right hand is actually 24.9174 centimeters long, and her left one is 24.257, making her the living female with the longest hand. She's now 24 years old and is the former tallest teenager alive, as confirmed in 2014. She broke the record for tallest woman alive when she was just 18 years old, and then broke 4 more records in October of 2021. Her most recent measurement verifies her height at 215.16 centimeters, and her fame has only skyrocketed. Her height is caused by Weaver syndrome, an uncommon disorder that causes fast growth, among other problems. The condition is extremely uncommon, with her being the 27th instance that's ever been documented. She can only walk for a few moments and mostly moves in a wheelchair due to her disability. Wow. She did have therapy for her illness, which lasted from September of 2003 to May of 2006, and it was successful, so she's no longer growing, thank goodness. Like Tanya, Ramaisa can't find her shoe sizes. She wears custom-made orthopedic shoes, and says that her Guinness World Record titles have inspired her to pursue her ambitions and hopes that her records will increase awareness of overgrowth disorders just like hers. Number 15. The longest back on a female. Ramaisa Gelgi made it to the list again, but not for the longest finger. She's also got the longest back. Being that tall does have its consequences, and for her, they are aplenty. Her back measures 59.8932 centimeters, and she cannot fit into regular clothing. The first time that she flew on an airplane, Turkish Airlines had to actually remove 6 chair rows from one of their planes in order to make her trip possible. That alone was enough to break the internet. She also said that her height causes her physical challenges like walking difficulties and spinal curvature, which would explain why she mainly uses a wheelchair. She shares her experiences on social media in order to increase awareness about the illness and to empower other individuals with similar situations. She works in the software sector as a front-end developer, and in 2021, the Guinness World Records organization would award her the accolade of being the world's tallest woman alive. Human genes can really run wild, and the results are as shocking as they come. So thank goodness that the size of your body part doesn't define you.
Yeah.
The people on our list are perfectly normal.
Well, guys, that would be it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. A lot of those were weird, disgusting, and other stuff too. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to go and buy my merch on MrScrayShop.etsy.com. And I guess that would be it. Goodbye.